Hey guys, so about 3 years ago I was living in London as kind of a gap year for about 9 months. And a lot of the stories that happened there got completely blurred out in my mind, so I completely forgot they ever happened. And during the last few weeks and months, a lot of them came back and I was always like, oh wait, this happened, that's kind of weird, but they're always kind of funny. So, for example, this one I'm gonna tell you. It happened around like February 2016, I think, and I was working in the event catering industry, and they didn't give me any work anymore. I'm gonna make a separate story time about that because that's kind of a heavy one. It would be too long to tell here now. And the thing is, I was kind of desperate to get work because I didn't want to leave London. I had like travel plans in England and I didn't want to go home before I fulfilled them. So I was applying for about 75 jobs or 85 jobs, and a lot of them were in fast food chains. And I didn't hear back from most of them, but I heard back from one of them. And I'm again not gonna say which chain it was, just because out of legal reasons, but it's the one that's famous for only selling a specific type of meat, so you probably already know which one I mean. And the thing is, they didn't invite me to a normal job interview. It was more like a group hiring thing. So they invited like 30 people in, and then they did like group task activity kind of things to see which one fits best for the company, which is alright in theory, even though it's already kind of weird to me concept wise. But the thing is, those tasks had nothing to do with the job. Let me give you a few examples. We were sorted into groups of like 5, 6, 7 people. I don't remember it that well anymore. And the first thing we were told to do is building a house out of straws, which is like, are we in kindergarten right now? Like, I kind of understand that it might be team building, but it's still odd to me. And also, you might not want your employees to do that during their shift. So you might maybe not want them to do that as the first thing they ever do when entering your store, but it's up to the managers if they think that's a logical decision. But the next thing that I remember is we had to think of a project, like some scientific sci-fi thing, something innovative and new. And we had to like draw it and then present it to the group and try to sell it. Like, I don't know, a flying car, but something more spectacular than that, something that you haven't heard of. It was kind of odd to me because I've never seen anybody in a fast food chain try to advertise anything to me, let alone innovative new products that don't even exist. So I don't actually understand how that has anything to do with the possible job, but who knows. I didn't question it back in the day. And between those tasks there were always like these weird breaks where you could talk to each other, and I was just sitting there being like, I kind of don't want to be here because this is weird and the atmosphere is weird. I'm kind of a shy person, so I was already like, I don't like the situation where I'm like in a room with 30 people at once. And in the end there were like regular job interviews, so you could actually talk to the managers. And as far as I'm aware, from the like 30 people that were there, only like 3 or 4 got the offer to be hired, which is already saying a lot. But I kind of know the reason why that is. The thing is, about 80% at least from the whole group were from the Dominican Republic, which wouldn't be a problem if they were able to speak English. So that means none of them knew English. They knew like 5 words, like maybe, and that's about it. So they couldn't communicate. So in every single group task, I was in a group full of Dominicans, so I had to do all the group tasks myself because they had no idea what we should do. And I'm not good with speaking in front of groups, so you can maybe imagine how fun the whole think of a project and present it and sell it thing was for me. Yeah. And that's also why those breaks we had in between were super awkward for me, because I couldn't even have talked to them if I wanted to, because I had no common language with them. They were only talking in Spanish with each other, because they all knew each other. It was like a group. And the thing is, it got even weirder, because they had an extra guy with them which worked as a translator, I guess. So he was trying to make communication between the Dominicans and the managers of the store possible. Now, I'm not sure how they imagine that to work in the future, because if you cannot even talk to the managers and the other employees, I'm not sure how you would even be able to work in the kitchen, let alone on the till. So that is not a job you should work at or even try to work at when you cannot speak a word of English. It was all very odd to me personally, but the thing is, in the end, I didn't get that job in London. I was planning to do a North England trip, like I think about 3 or 4 days later, and I told them that, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that's fine, just call us when you're back," which I did. But then they didn't remember me anymore and told me that I have to reapply. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna do this whole thing again for nothing. And then I was just out and didn't try again, because that was not worth it. Especially since I'm one of the only 10% that were suitable for the job in any way. Besides that, it's also funny to me that this particular chain has never ever hired me anywhere. Like even in Germany, where I applied to them every time I applied to jobs in different stores, they never were interested in hiring me ever. Which is like, maybe that chain just hates me, I'm not sure. And then I applied to a lot of cafes and restaurants and bars and that kind of stuff, where I searched for waiters. But I only wanted female waitresses, and like they did still search for them 6 months later, but they didn't care. Like they only wanted either a female or no one, which is a bit sexist if you think about it. The thing is, a lot of people go to London currently because it's like very hyped. It's like, oh yeah, you want to live there. And just like me, they go there and think they can find a job easily. I can tell you, finding a job in London is actually a lot harder than you would imagine. So the only jobs that you can easily get are the ones in the event catering industry, where I've been in and which I would absolutely not recommend. Unless you're gonna work as an au pair, that seems to work fine. But besides that, I wouldn't recommend anything really. I mean, you could be lucky and find a job in any store, but it is significantly harder than in every other town I've ever lived in. Which is one that didn't make a whole lot of sense, but I can tell you it is not as easy as you might hope it is, even though. To give you another example of how stupid like finding a job in London sometimes is, I was scoring another job in like another chain actually, and they told me, oh yeah, you get an email with the online registration platform, because they have a weird website where you have to register and then you get points for being able to do certain things in the store. It feels like a video game. It was kind of odd. And they were like, oh yeah, you're getting the link for that with your email. And then I got an email with a link that didn't work. And basically it was a no reply email. So I couldn't even tell them, hey, your link doesn't work. So I was waiting for something to happen. And then I got another email which is like, oh, haven't heard from you. Can you please reply to us? Which was from another no reply email with no contact details. So even if I wanted to, I couldn't even have replied to that, which is like, what? And then a week later I got an email that said, oh, we're so sorry to hear that you're not interested anymore. And I'm like, but I had no way of contacting you. I kind of want that job, but I guess I don't get it anymore. And the thing was, I couldn't even go to the same restaurant and tell them, hey, your stuff doesn't work. Because the problem is, I did not have any money at this point. So I didn't ever go with the subway anywhere. And this store was way too far away, so I couldn't even have walked there. And besides, Googling their phone number was also not an option. There was some issue with the telephone. I have no idea anymore. Besides the fact that I'm absolutely not comfortable having a phone call in another language, and back in the day I wasn't that comfortable with speaking English yet. I haven't done that a whole lot before I moved to London actually. So that's what happens. And then I didn't get a job that I practically had, which is also fun. This was actually not the oddest story I had to tell about working in the fast food industry. So the next one is gonna be even stranger. If you're interested in that, stay tuned, subscribe. It's gonna be very weird next time. it is significantly, significant, nein,